Welcome to another player interview on the Rinkside Review, where I strive to cover everything Czech hockey, all in English. I'd like to welcome my third guest, a man who has started the 24-25 Extraliga season on fire, Kevin Czuczman. Kevin, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Certainly start to talk about Litvinov's start to the season a little later on, but how was summer for you?
It was pretty busy. It was, typical summer. It's nice seeing family, friends. It doesn't seem like there's enough weekends to kind of get everything in with weddings and whatnot. But it's always nice seeing the grandparents, both sides and everyone. So it was a good summer.
Yeah, and you only have limited time, I guess, as well, because you have to be back for the preseason. And I think you guys went on a tour somewhere.
Yeah, we did a little series in Switzerland, and then we also went to Dresden for a couple games there as well. So we kind of got out of Czech a little bit, and it's good being back and seeing everyone, and the second time around at it, a little more familiar and a little more ease into everything as well. So I've really enjoyed it so far.
That's absolutely great. Yeah, I think that you can tell with the team as well that the continuity's been there a little bit with some of the guys.
Yeah, no, I think to touch on that is it's so important when you kind of turn over like 80% of the same roster and you bring back the same squad. I think it brings that like bond and something that we shared in the playoffs last year that we're gonna kind of build on and like go for now again. So I think that is so important, and it's again so nice being back and kind of getting things rolling again.
That playoff run was exceptionally spectacular at points as well, seeing how you guys dealt with the adversity as well. I think you had one or two injuries, maybe one ban here and there, and you adapted and you came together as a unit and you really pushed on.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and I've played a long time in pro hockey, but it was like my first true big playoff run, so it was really enjoyable for me, and I felt like a rookie at times going through it for the first time. So it was a great experience, and one that I'll even though we didn't ultimately win, I think at the end it was just a hell of a journey, and I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that that's a big part of it. You could see how much the guys seem to mesh together in terms of their personalities and their playing styles on the ice.
Yeah, I think so. I think, and like to touch on my point earlier, to bring back that same group or roughly the same group is so important, and it's the chemistry element that it often doesn't get touched on with the tangibles. It's kind of like the intangibles and what you have in the dressing room with the group of guys you have. And I think that turning over into this year is so important and something you can't sometimes you can't put a finger on it, but I think for us moving forward, it's something that we're really going to build with.
Absolutely. So usually with my guests, I'd like to rewind back to the start of your career. But in your case, I'd like to go back even further than that. Because when we messaged off camera, we discovered that we had similar family roots, which is very, very mixed European.
Yeah.
So, for example, the name Czuczman or Czuczman, I think it's Polish origin, maybe Polish Ukrainian. And it's definitely piqued the interest of a lot of Czech fans because they see the name and they think, oh, he's Canadian. And I think it's something interesting because it's kind of like you're returning back to where your forefathers maybe once were.
I think so. It is really cool. I mean, in Canada we say churchman, but there's no R, and it doesn't really make sense to a lot of people, but it's what we say. And since I've been in Czech, I don't think it's been pronounced churchman once. It's been pronounced Czuczman, and they even call me Choo Choo. So
Yeah.
I think it's a great yeah, it's a great name, and I think it's like from the area. I think Poland or Ukraine. Not sure really where, but I've had a few people come up to me and ask me about the origin of it, and it's a cool talking point, and yeah, something I'm proud of.
For me as well, I'm very proud of my Polish roots. I guess the name Czuczman might come from the verb to feel, because in Polish it's czucie. So it could be like someone who had a feeling. I don't know exactly, but that's what my best guess from kind of knowing a little bit about the language would be.
I like that. Yeah, we'll go with that. That sounds good. Yeah.
Great. And we also spoke that you've got some British roots too, British and Irish.
Yeah, my grandfather was in Manchester, Manchester City, and then my grandmother on my father's side is from Kerry County, Ireland. So,
Wow,
okay, and
nice.
then on the other side, it's completely Belgian. So a lot of European roots, and yeah, it's good to be back and kind of go through it again, what my ancestors went through over here, and kind of walk the same area. So it's pretty interesting for me.
Absolutely. And have you managed to get out to any of these places that you've got roots in since you've been in Europe?
I have I've been to most of the places in within Litvínov, so Germany, Austria, Poland a bit, but I haven't made my way to Ireland yet or England, and definitely Belgium as well as another place that I still have quite a few family members in Belgium and as well as Ireland. So those are two places that I think need to be checked off here soon. And you know, on my wife's side, it's Croatia. So we've been spending time there as well. So I've been getting the kind of total European tour here the last little bit. So it's been interesting and awesome. So I've really enjoyed it.
And Croatia is such a beautiful country, and a lot of Czech people. It's like their #1 holiday destination. So you're going to be surrounded by Czech people when you go there in summer anyway, right?
Yeah, and it's similar language, so close enough. And I think they can understand each other after some rakia or slivovitz, but it's it's
Uh,
it's a beautiful spot, beautiful destination. Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think that having that shot of Dutch courage, as we would say, definitely helps when you're trying to work your way through such complicated languages.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
What were your beginnings in hockey? So can you remember the first time that you stepped out onto the ice?
Um, Not the first time, but my beginnings in hockey, it always goes back to my dad. And you know, my fondest memories are getting to the arena at 6 a.m. before my ice time, and then skating for an hour before all the other kids skated, and just kind of doing like 3 to 4 times the work that all the other kids were doing just with my dad. And you know, it wasn't him forcing me. It was both ways. It was like I wanted to be there, and I think that's what kind of gave me the edge at a young age, is my hunger to get better and his willingness to kind of do it for me. And you know, I would always be the one to kind of initiate it and push. And you know, those are some of the best memories I've ever had, is the car rides with my dad and kind of just talking hockey and asking him a million questions about the game. And you know, he never played, so he would always be like a student of the game and learn as much as he could. And you know, so it was kind of like we were both learning on the go, and it's always special, and it always makes me smile whenever I guess think about my early roots in the game. And you know, he was the #1 influence in my life.
That's really great to hear. That's been a reoccurring theme with just the few guests that I've had. That Alex Lintonyemi, he said the same to me about the kind of work that he was putting in, because he plays as a defenseman like yourself now. But he said that like he was there like doing kind of buckets of pucks, practicing face-offs and everything before anybody else was there. So there's absolutely something to be said for putting in that hard work and making it to the top levels.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think a big thing is it's one thing to do it, but the fact that like I wanted to do it, and it was something that you know, I had, there's a lot of purpose and like a lot of like desire and drive behind it. It wasn't just going through the motions per se. It was more, you know, I had passion for it. We both did. And I think that's something that, you know, fuels you through those days where maybe you don't want to get up. And, you know, that's what pushed me through. And I think, you know, to this day, you still kind of carry that. And I still obviously carry a lot of what my dad taught me to this day. And I think that's what helped me, or it has helped me keep longevity in the game and my love for the game as well.
You can see that when you're out on the ice now, and what your former teammates say about you as well, which we'll come on to later. But your junior hockey days started well, it was humble beginnings really, starting at junior C. So can you talk us through those very early beginnings and how you kind of joined up with your first club?
Yeah. So it's a club that's pretty close to my hometown, Port Elgin, Ontario. And I always in the back of my mind wanted to play professional hockey and, get a scholarship, play in the OHL, kind of advance. But I just didn't grow till I was maybe 18 or 19. So I was a late bloomer, I guess. And the local junior C team, they were a strong team, and I tried out, made the team, and that was my NHL draft year actually. So you couldn't I don't think I was
Wow.
could have been further away from the NHL that year when I was playing junior C. And I just fell in love with the game, and it's never been a job or a chore to me. It's something I love to do, and I think I just carried that on, and I always had the philosophy, just be the best you can be at any level and be the best player on your team at any level, and things will take care of you. Things take care of itself. And the cliche was, if you're good enough, they'll find you. I always would hear that, and you'd always kind of maybe roll your eyes sometimes, but eventually, one thing led to another, and you start connecting the dots when you look back 5, 10 years down the road. But I was in the right place at the right time at the right rink, and I had the right scout from junior B. So then the next year. So I go play junior B, and then I do well there. And then the right scout was watching me that year, and I go advance to junior A. And, in between that year, I had a choice. All my friends were going to school, becoming engineers, teachers, whatever. And, I'm still playing hockey at this point. I'm 20 years old, and it's kind of, the future's looking bleak. It's not looking like too bright that I'm going to make a career out of this. And, I felt a lot of pressure, like from my peers. They're all going off to college, having fun, getting on with their lives per se. And, I'm still playing junior hockey, and I kind of felt like, what am I doing right now? And, my dad, he said something to me, and you look back and it's like turning points in your life. And I think this is one of them, when he said, when you're 45 years old, you can't go back and play another year of hockey, but you can do it right now. And I think after I heard that, and it kind of like a light went on, like, okay, I'm going to give this like one last shot here. And, I had everything lined up. I was going to go to university, going to go be an engineer, and, choose a different path. But, I still love the game, and I didn't want to have any regrets, and I wanted to leave everything I had with the game and finish my junior career and see where it takes me. And, I went to a league in Toronto, junior A, a tier 2 league in Toronto that's more heavily scouted by NCAA. I was kind of in the wilderness per se in the 2 years before. And like a week in, I started talking to schools, and then 2 weeks in, I get an offer from Lake Superior State. And then, one of my happiest moments in hockey is going up to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan with my dad for my visit. And the coach is like, we're going to offer you a scholarship. And he's like, take some time to think about it. And my dad wouldn't let us. He's like, no, we're staying. We're coming here. And I'm like, yeah, he said so. I'm on board. So I think, that's one of my proudest moments. Sharing it with him too was pretty special. And, it's something that I'll always have as one of the greatest memories in hockey for me.
Yeah, it really is an incredible rise to go from junior C, junior B, then, as you say, go up into the OJHL, I think it was.
Yeah.
And the thing that was equally as impressive was actually seeing your consistency. So how you were able to kind of replicate the numbers as you went up through that junior tier system. Was there anything that you did mentally that kind of gave you that advantage to be able to perform at that reliable level?
That's a good question. I've never really thought of the mental side of of those years. You're so young at that age, and you're developing still. Like, you're trying to find yourself as like a person, like where you're like trying to find where you are in the world. And I was so young. Like, looking back on myself, I probably don't even recognize the kid I was then. But I think the one thing I always had, and I still have to this day, is like the child's like play of and love of the game. Like I'd look forward to practices, even, we'd practice once a week at 10 p.m. on Wednesdays when I was playing junior C. It's the only time we had. And I would look forward to that almost as much as the games. And I just would love, I think I just had such a joy to play the game. And like, I would just savor every moment I could. And, I think naturally too, I was physically developing. I think, I was just going through my growth spurt at that time. And I think I started junior hockey maybe at 5'9", 5'10", and I ended at 6'1", and then I grew more in college as well. And then now I'm 6'3". I'm not sure what that is in centimeters, but
It's about 191 centimeters, I think.
yeah, and
Roughly around there.
I always knew I'd kind of get to that height because both my parents are tall, and my brothers. So, but I think just what fueled me was my love for it. And it's funny you said about like the consistency in those numbers through those years. I honestly just played for the pure love of the game. I like look back, I'm like, I don't even know if I was on power play. I just played. And I think it was so awesome. And I love that. It was such a freeing feeling, and it's such a fun years to look back on. But yeah, a lot of uncertainty too, I guess. Like you just you go through it, and you have that like North Star, which is like your love for the game, just to like passion pull you through it. And I think for me, that was one thing that always stood the test of time.
Yeah, it really is a fairy tale story, and how you describe your attitude is it's a coach's dream. I think that you don't remember if you're on the power play, not counting your numbers, just getting out every shift, putting it all out on the ice, and just kind of seeing what became of it just because of your love for the game. It's very refreshing to hear.
Yeah, it was honestly, I think it's one of those things that both my parents like would always tell me, like, be a good teammate first, and like, help the guy next to you. And whether you're on the ice or off the ice, like just be a good, genuine human. And I think that's something that, my mom was big on as well. And I think something that's carried me and helped me in my career, I think, is you kind of gotta morph into different roles on different teams. Like some teams you might need to be the guy, and some teams you might need to be a different role player. And I think as Canadians, we grow up and we watch, the Olympic teams that Canada puts together, and they would always talk and like they'd always commentate on it and be like, we're not bringing an all-star team. We're bringing different guys to fill different roles, and guys wear different hats and different positions. And I think that really stuck with me. And I think for whatever reason, I always kind of thought like, hey, I want to be a guy that can play on any defense pair, any situation, and kind of be able to like be like water and flow through a lineup. I think that's pretty something that I think is pretty. I'm pretty proud of been able to kind of accomplish and kind of do without even really thinking of doing it. I just kind of did it. So I think that's something I don't know. It's words can't explain some of these things. I think you just kind of got to have that feeling. And I think it's all part of the journey. And I think it's just been one big journey, and it's still going. So I think it's pretty special for me.
You were where you were supposed to be at exactly the right time, I think, is the way to sum it up, really.
Yeah, and it's just trust the process. And yeah, man, I think like you always have the dream of playing in the NHL. Like everyone makes a wish at 11-11. So I think that's something that I always would get out there in the universe. And I think, you just keep pulling and just keep pushing. I think, right place, right time. It's so cliche, and like you hear all these cliches, but there's truth to them. And trust the process. Be it there, if you're good enough, they'll find you, that stuff. But I really believe there is truth to them. And it's wherever you are, I think like you can always make an impact, and someone will have eyes on you. And you never know who's like, and I think it was Wayne Gretzky or someone said, you never know who's going to watch you for the first time. And so you want to bring your best in whatever you do. So that stuck with me too. It's amazing. You look back and you kind of take the clippings of quotes and stuff that, might have went right over your head or in one ear or out the other, but some of them just stick. And that's kind of what's gone with me.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Lake Superior. So what were your first feelings when you stepped onto campus, you know, as the student?
It was like making the NHL. It was, to me, it was you know, I still get goosebumps playing Division 1 hockey. It was, to me, it was so special. You know, I just wanted to make the roster and you know, go on, be in the lineup, and you know, it had everything. It had the hockey. My dad loved the hockey, and my mom always would preach like, get your school, get your education. So it was like, I'm like, this is perfect. I have both, little best of both worlds, and you know, get to campus, and I can't say enough good things about that place. From the coaches, Jim Rock, all the way down to my teammates, and you know, guys I still see every summer to keep in touch with week to week. It's such an amazing school, and we were a small school. You know, we were the small school that playing against like the Michigan State, Ohio State, Notre Dame. So it was like kind of like a little David versus Goliath. And you know, we kind of kept that like little like underdog attitude. And you know, we had some success, and it's been, I think when I was there, we had, in the 3 years I was there, I think we had 6 NHL contracts signed from our school. From a small little school, we turned out a lot of pro hockey players, and some of them still playing to this day.
I think off the top of my head, if I remember reading the stats at the end of this year, I think something like 36% of all NHL players in 2023-24 had come through the NCAA in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I believe that. I think it, you know, like I look back at like when I turned pro, and say you're like 4 or 5 years into the AHL, and you're in NHL training camp, you go to the AHL, and you have a lot of young kids coming in that are graduates of, say, the OHL, WHL, like the junior system, and they're 20 years old, 19 or 20 years old, and they're living on their own, and like trying to find homes and different things in the AHL. So you're kind of growing up on the fly and trying to play pro hockey. Whereas I was going into Lake Superior State, I was 20, 21. I was in class. You kind of get a dress rehearsal for pro hockey. You learn how to manage your time. You got to know, okay, I got an exam on Friday. I got a game on Friday. I got to study this day. I got to practice this day. I got to talk to my professor. I got to, you know, make sure I'm working out, get everything in order. And you learn how to kind of manage your time. And I think that's something that does not surprise me, that 30-something% of guys from the NCAA are playing in the NHL, just because it honestly gives your life some order, and it gives you like some like a dress rehearsal before you turn pro. And I think it's such a good factory for NHL and pro hockey players.
Absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned that, and it's responsibility is the key word that kind of comes out from that for me. Is like you learn how to look after yourself, and when you can kind of take care of yourself, it means that you can take care of your role within a team, or whether that's in a sporting context, or whether that's in a business context, or anything. It's so important, those life skills.
Yeah, you really do have yeah, you take ownership of your, and like some agency of your, your career and your school career as well too. So I think that it's, you know, for me, it was so important and helped me so much when I transitioned to pro hockey.
Yeah, you certainly seem to adjust to life really well in the NCAA, because you were dubbed the outstanding freshman in 2011, 2012 for the Lakers. What factors were the most important in you making such a good first impression?
I think it was, I hate using the same thing, but I think I just played. I honestly just wanted to make the team. I loved going to the rink. I loved everything about being that. I fully embraced being a Laker, and I think on and off the ice, and I loved everything about it. I was so proud. You know, I played that way. I played with my you know, like for my classmates, for the town, for the jersey, and I think that's something that at college, at that level, you play for your teammates because you're with those guys. You build such strong bonds. I think it was something that, you know, I was so on board to be a part of. And I think just for the love of the game and just passion, I just wanted to get better, and I just wanted to keep playing. And I think, again, I hate bringing it back to the same answer, but I think it's just the the through line through all this is just I had the love of the game. I just wanted to play, and I just wanted to be the best player I could be on the team, whether that was filling up water bottles or running the power play. I just wanted to be there.
And again, like the next season, you were the most valuable defenseman for the Lakers that year as well. So I mean, that love of the game pushed you even further. What did you study off the ice at Lake Superior?
I did finance and economics.
And have you had the chance to use your degree or since you graduated, or has it just been completely 100% full into hockey?
No, it's been a pretty cool journey. Kind of I guess started maybe 5 years ago now when I was in the NHL. They a phenomenal program in the NHLPA. They do a career enhancement, and they push you to kind of treat what you do away from the rink like business wise and as something that you can build on and grow with. And I think for me, we teased out kind of where my interests lie, and it's in commercial real estate and definitely finance and different things like that. So, I've had different Zoom calls with different people in positions in Toronto area in commercial real estate, and kind of, have sunk a big interest into that. And I've, kind of taken on little internships in the summers in the Toronto area and, different, whatever it may be in real estate or whatnot. But, just trying to do this while I'm playing. So when I'm done playing, I can kind of transition easily and not have to figure out okay, what's next for me. I kind of have the ball rolling a little bit and kind of a better idea. And I say that, but still to this day, I don't know what fully I want to do, whether I want to be an entrepreneur and run my own business or whatnot. But, it's something that I'm continuing to work at. And, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try finding out, what it is, my passion, what I can fuel this energy into. And yeah, so yeah, short answer. Yeah, I have been using my degree a little bit, but long answer, it's been a long roundabout way.
Well, the answer will come with time, and you've got plenty of time. When you finish a hockey career is very short, and the fact that you have got one eye on that side of things it's a testament to your character as well. That responsibility that we spoke about earlier, it's clearly a factor in your everyday life, not just your hockey career, which is great to see.
Yeah, I think it's important for, whatever stage you are in your career. You can't do this till you're 65. I mean, I know Yarmer Yager might, but everyone else, for us mortals out there, it's something that you always got to have your eye on. And I love hockey, and I want to stay involved in hockey in some way, whether that's a professional scout or work in management as well. So, I kind of got my hands in a lot of different boxes and things, but it's something I really want to push and kind of, be known for more than just a hockey player. I think that's important too, is I don't want to just be known as someone who played in the NHL or played hockey. I want to be, have an impact outside the game as well. And I think that's something that, keeps pushing me off the ice too, to keep reading, keep bettering myself, and keep, kind of keep on this trajectory of wherever I may be ending up. I don't know.
You are a hockey player now, but there's so much more to you as a human being. So why not explore all of those things? And going through university allowed you to kind of experiment with those things a bit more. In terms of on the ice, how would you describe the style of play in the NCAA?
The NCAA, yeah, it's pretty fast. It's more north-south, so it's like a lot of like sprinting, and you don't play many games. So I think you play Friday, Saturday usually, at least in my league, and you play 30-something games. So it's like where pro hockey is more like in North American pro hockey, you play 80 to 76, so it's more of like a marathon per se.
Yeah.
In college, it's a flat out like 200-meter sprint. You're just flying, and guys have cages, so you're playing a little reckless. It's a lot of energy, I should say that, and it's a lot of like passion. So it's chippy hockey, and it's tons of skilled players come out of it, but it's not like puck possession. It's more crash and bang and, get to the dirty area, score dirty goals and, use your speed. I think that's what the big thing. And, a lot of players are older too in that league. So they're all then junior hockey. So they're all like 20, 21, 22. So you get some more physically mature guys too, so that can, throw their weight around and kind of carry themselves. So I think that ups the level as well. So, college is, it's a fun league to play in. And I think there's a reason why so many guys come there and have success in pro hockey and whatnot.
What was the most important lesson that you learned from your time playing in the NCAA as a player?
I don't know why this just came to me, but I think my first ever pregame skate was in college hockey. I never even knew what a pregame skate was really. And I think that was like, I'm like, wow, so this is like a full day thing. I thought you just show up at the games. I was like mind blown that because in junior hockey where I played, we never really had pregame skates or anything. We just kind of, even all my levels, we just showed up and played. And I couldn't believe the video and the preparation that went into every game. And I think that's something that I was like, wow, there's a whole other side of this. And I think I was just like, my eyes just like lit up and I'm like, wow, so we're preparing the whole day for this. We're preparing even like to play a Friday, Saturday game. We're preparing, it starts on Monday. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I'm like, this is kind of what I've been like aching for and looking for. And I think it's something that I was like, wow, so much preparation went into, watching their film, watching what we do, filming our practices and our habits and different things. I'm like, it was something that for me, just the preparation that went into the games was something I'm like, this is awesome. And I remember I'd be so upset. I'd be like so sad and defeated when we'd lose away games. And I'd be like, we we put in so much effort and like time into this preparation. We just lost. I'm like, what a disappointment. And it obviously took me years to realize that it's like, yeah, it's part of it. It's like the journey. But I'm like, wow, we put so much into this and like, we just like failed. And you learn to like deal with failure that way, I guess, too. And I think, you prepare the same way on Monday as even if whether you won or you lost. And I think that's something that stuck with me too.
Absolutely. And it was your third year was a really strong year for you statistically. And it ended with you icing for the Islanders. And you basically went from a junior C player in your draft year to icing with an NHL club within what it must have been five seasons or so.
It would, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it was one of those things kind of, the whole journey to the NHL began my freshman year, kind of my first or second weekend, and we were playing Michigan State. And, I started talking to NHL teams right then and there. And it was like the ball started rolling. And I kind of, had to make a decision when I wanted to turn pro, when I wanted to, sign and leave school. And for me, a big thing was getting my degree. And, I got it in 3 years, and it was something I kind of always knew I wanted to do, and play in the NHL obviously as well. And I had a relationship with the Islanders for 2 years, I think it was, and Doug Waite was the assistant GM at the time, and he went to Lake Superior State, and that was a big sell for me. And it was again right time, right place. They were far out of the playoffs, and I had a good year, and the universe aligned pretty well, and I could go in and play some games, kind of get my first taste of pro hockey in the NHL. And it was something that I'll always look back on. And I remember playing, and I remember we were playing in Montreal or something, and I forget, someone didn't come to the game, and I'm like, and I said a comment, I'm like, well, you never know if I'll play here again. And sure enough, I never played there again. But it's one of those things that I remember fully enjoying it and like savoring it, and like I'm like, this is awesome. And it gave you the taste of where you want to be full time. And everyone would always say it's easy to get to or hard to get to the NHL. It's even harder to stay in the NHL. And I believe that because you just see the work and like the level of talent that is there. And it's phenomenal. And it's something that I'll always look back on and smile. Even though I didn't play 500 games, I played enough. And for my story, I think it's perfect. And to go back to that, it took me. I played in, I think, 2014, and I think 7 years later, I played my next NHL games for Pittsburgh. So it's definitely a journey, man, and it's something that I always kind of persevered and want to get back there and prove I can do it like the way through pro as well, like the hard way through the East Coast, through the AHL, through the bus rides, and it meant a lot to play, and I'm proud of playing for Pittsburgh as well.
Can you describe the day-to-day routine of an NHL player, just like a snapshot of something that most of us will never experience? Like how does it look when you go into an organization? Like what do they get you doing, and how does it all work?
Yeah, so fortunately, between those 7 years of playing in the NHL and then not playing, I was called up a number of times, and I was like the seventh defenseman. So you kind of get like a bird's eye view of the whole thing. You're in it, but you're not really playing. So you're there, but you're not there. And you practice with the team. You pick up, like, you kind of see it from a different perspective, and you don't have that necessarily that intense pressure of like performing that night. So you kind of can watch a little more. And I think for me, I just remember like those times of just understanding like how each guy has their own thing and has their own, like, every guy has been the top player on every team they've ever been on all the way up until this level. And everyone's just like, everyone's phenomenal hockey player, but it's the guys that know how to adapt and like put team first that really stick and really stay at that level. It's the skills are great, but there's just as much skill, some of the guys here in the Czech league. But what separates a lot of guys that kind of carve out careers in the NHL is just the work ethic that a lot of them have. And like, they find little areas that they're good at and make themselves great at it and make themselves better than every other player that tries to take their job at that specific skill. And they have specific plans and they execute on them. So I think just like the little things, like from watching like Crosby after practice and different guys like that, like, you would think Sidney Crosby's trying to make the team. He comes to camp every year like as if he's going to try out for the team. He's the hardest worker. I couldn't believe how long he was at the rink, what he does after the rink. Just unbelievable guy in the locker room talking to you. Like, I couldn't believe we see him on TV in the interviews and you kind of get a little glimpse, but the amount of work and effort he puts into his craft and what he does is absolutely phenomenal. And, every team would love to have a guy like that because he sets the tone. The coach can only say so much, but when you have someone like that, like pulling the rope and leading the charge, it's just such a natural thing to follow a guy like that. So with that, when he's leading your day to day of putting in that extra work, doing the little things that, might not be glamorous or you might not think will amount to much. Well, when he does it for 90 days, 100 days, whatever, and then you see him tip a puck with one hand or something ridiculous, you're like, you understand why. And, it's so contagious. And, you could talk all day about a guy like that, but, you only see a guy like that every now and then through the NHL. And, I was pretty fortunate to kind of, be around him as much as I was. And, he's a phenomenal player and even better person off the ice. So
Yeah,
I know,
a truly inspirational figure, I think.
yeah. And I know I went kind of off topic there, but I think it's important when you talk about like the day to day in the NHL, the best player in the world, when he's doing the little things like that, I think it's natural for anyone else to kind of understand that and kind of see the work that needs to be put in when, you see that guy doing it. So it was really special for me. And that, day to day, to be honest, it's really similar to college, a lot of preparation, a lot of video, but just the amount of like detail that they have for pretty much everything, like going through with like the physiotherapy, the chiropractor, nutrition, there's private chefs, there's everything at your, whatever you need to perform at your best. And there's either a product or someone to help you do it. So I think, they don't leave any stone unturned, and they're, it's the best league in the world for a reason.
It sounds absolutely incredible. Like you say, they've got everything down to a T, the top level in every department, best in class.
Yeah.
I think there's another teammate of yours that I'd like to ask about as well. I think he announced his retirement. Well, it must have been last week. Kyle Poso just
Oh,
won
yeah.
a Stanley Cup, went out on top. What was it like to play with a guy like that?
Actually, one of the first guy, when I signed from Lake Superior State to the New York Islanders, he was the first player that reached out to me. The very first text message I got from an NHL player was from Kyle Okposo. And, it meant the world, because here you are watching him on TV, and, I'm up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. I just signed the papers, like, just ink hadn't even dried yet. And I get a message from Kyle Okposo, welcome aboard, welcome to the family, basically. And, he was just a great guy. Like, talk about like such a class player on and off the ice. He's someone again, like Sid. I mean, they went to school together actually at Shattuck way back in the day, and you can tell that they do a good job there as well. But yeah, I was happy to see him win the cup, and it was a pretty special way to cap off a career. And what a great player and better person as well.
Great to hear. I mean, his shot had to be one of the heaviest shots I've actually seen, especially when I was younger, watching the D-men and the goalies. I was kind of thinking like, oh, it's going to be a difficult job. And thinking about interviewing you, did you ever have to get in the way and block a couple of those rippers?
No, I don't think. I remember taking him on like a one-on-one, doing like a one-on-one practice or something like that. Maybe boxing him out in front of the net, and him and Anders Lee. I remember just the sheer size of those guys. And I remember boxing one of them out, and I did an okay job, I think, whatever. And I come to the bench, and the coach is like, they don't come much bigger than that. He's like, if you can move that, you can move anyone.
Yeah. Anders Lee was another one I was actually going to talk about as well and ask you about. So again, he's gone on to have a great career. Like, what was he like to be around in the locker room?
Another guy. Like, I was pretty spoiled when I went to the Islanders. I was just insulated with like John Tavares as well. So many guys kind of all around the same age too, and they were just such a great group of guys. And Anders was like, he was kind of, when I was first there, he was kind of just starting out as well, kind of in and out of the NHL with the AHL. And, he had so much time for me, and he was kind of came from college as well at Notre Dame. So he would text me and talk to me about a lot of things, that kind of the similar problems we both went through. And, when you look back on it now, it's like, it's people like that, and that kind of went out of their way to help you. And it makes you just want to be such a better teammate and help guys here or wherever be the teammate that you wish you had. And I was fortunate I had those guys, but that's kind of how you want to pay it forward, is kind of be the teammates that those guys were to me. And, I can't say enough good things about that group of guys that kind of took care of me there.
Yeah, true leaders. And there's a reason why all of those have worn a letter during that time or since, right? Like it's their character must be one that it exudes true leadership. Following your stint at the Islanders and the affiliate in Bridgeport, you moved on to Manitoba. So how did that kind of come about, that move?
Yeah, that was I played 2 years, I think, in Islanders organization, and then I only had the NHL success and at the first year there, so I was an unrestricted free agent, and I wasn't really in high interest with NHL teams. I was just kind of more like a depth guy in the minor leagues, seen as, and I kind of had to rebuild my value, and I signed an AHL only deal in Manitoba, and at the time Paul Maurice was the coach in Winnipeg, and they had a coach, Pascal Vincent, and Winnipeg was a big on development, and for me it was like, again, like, right place, right time. I get to Winnipeg, and first off, it was the coldest place I've ever lived. And I was in Finland, and oh my God, Winnipeg is a cold place, but what a great city. I remember getting to camp and going through camp, and you go through the motions kind of, and you just kind of want to like compete and do your best. And then the World Cup was going on, and Paul Maurice said was coaching there, and he came back to Winnipeg, and he said, again, I really didn't think anything of my camp. I thought I was just kind of, I was competing and just having fun, just enjoying it. And he said, he came up to me, and, it gave me such confidence to this day that still kind of has stuck with me. And he said, here you've been he said to me, I think it was like, I hear you've been having a hell of a camp, kid, or something like that. And just kind of came up to me on the ice in practice, kind of, here I was like thinking this guy had no idea who I was or whatever. And it was a little comment like that. And it just like turned a switch in me, like just flipped something in me. And I was like, wow, I guess whatever. And then, I go and I go to the AHL, and I had a phenomenal coach, Pascal Vincent. He was just Columbus's coach. And, he said to me, he goes, we're going to make what you're good at. You're going to be great at it. Everyone's so worried about your weaknesses, what you're bad at. Everyone wants to work on your weaknesses. He's like, no, we're going to take what you're good at and make you great at it. He's like, there's time for the weaknesses. You'll have coaches, plenty of coaches show you your weaknesses and work on them. And I think from that, it's just those two little things. I don't know, something clicked, and I just kind of, I don't know, the ball started rolling, and I started, it gave me another 6, 7 years AHL, NHL contracts from it. And, something I'm really proud of as well is my time in Winnipeg, and, great people, great organization. And yeah, it was a cool journey there too.
Yeah, productivity wise, you really took a step forward that years, and that makes sense if they were focusing more on the things that you can do well, that you responded to that, and you gave them the output as well. It's a really good coaching move.
Yeah, it shows you why. Well, Paul Maurice just won a Stanley Cup with his philosophy, and you see so many guys that are coming into their own in that environment. I think it's so when you can like empower your players, I think it's really special. And I think at all levels they did that. And whether it was the Manitoba Moose or the Winnipeg Jets, they kind of have produced good players. And they're not a big market team, so they produce from within. And I think they've done a really, really good job of that.
You wore the A that season as well, so the leadership kind of role was given to you, and that's something that kind of continued through your AHL career almost until you left to come overseas. So what added responsibility did you feel, and how did that change your role within the dressing room and on the ice?
Yeah, to be honest, it didn't really it was a big honor to wear an A in the AHL. I think it was something that I always looked up to the leaders, the guys that wore letters on all my teams. And I think to be one of those guys now was pretty special, and I was pretty proud of that moment. And yeah, but to be honest, I really didn't change my approach too much. I just kept trying to, be the player and person my parents wanted me to be. And I think, it just kind of, you be the teammate that you wish you had when you first turned pro. And, whether it's taking guys, going to coffee, going to lunch, playing video games with them, doing whatever it was at the time, I think it was so important to kind of be that like extension of the coaching staff into the players, I think. And I think any good leader is just another player. And, even here in Litvínov, we have tons of leaders in the dressing room, guys that don't wear letters, but you'd be surprised at how many different voices and guys step up at different moments and say something. And, that's part of like having a good culture and a good team as well. Is you kind of, it doesn't matter if whoever wears a letter, and we're all leaders here. And, that's another cliche. You hear that all the time, but, when you see it true, and you see, and you're in it, I like what I am here and on other teams, I think it's really special, and it really kind of can propel a team forward.
You spoke about how that season in Manitoba gave you a bit more longevity in the AHL. So you went down next to Wilkes-Barre,
Yeah.
the Penguins.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that was the start of a great journey in Pittsburgh's organization. I had a good year, I guess, in Manitoba, and I still want to play in North America. I still had a desire to play in the NHL again, and I still had that burning itch. And I got to free agency, and Pittsburgh was the team that called with an NHL offer, and from there I was ecstatic because Bill Guerin was the GM, and I loved Bill Guerin growing up, and it's started a good relationship I've had with him now to this day, and it was a natural fit for me. Again, Pittsburgh, how they're structured, they just had come off back-to-back Stanley Cups, so I go in there, and you're in a championship, you just get inserted right into a championship environment. I remember from day one in camp, it was after coming off back-to-back Stanley Cups, everyone's like, okay, it's going to be an easier camp. It's going to be, they're like, they just turn the page and go right back to work. It was like, there wasn't talk of it. There wasn't like lingering of that. There wasn't the lingering of the parade. It was, no, let's get back to work and let's do it again. Let's run it back. And I think from there on, I fell in love with the organization. I again, I found a little home, and I kept re-signing there. And they took care of me when I tore my shoulder after my first year there, and it was a really good fit, and I really enjoyed my time in Pittsburgh and Wilkes-Barre.
It certainly looks that way for the amount of time that you spent there. You played there with a guy who's just entered the league, the Extraliga this year, Will Riley.
Yeah, he was my defense partner in the COVID year there. Yeah, great guy.
Have you managed to speak to him since he's come over to the Czech Republic?
Yeah, I have. I think he's enjoying it in Chesky, and yeah, I guess I'll see him on Tuesday. But yeah, he's a great player. He'll do well in this league. Like, he's big, strong. He's got a good shot, and there's always an adjustment period for any guy coming from North America. But with how he handles himself and his professionalism, I think he'll do really well and find a good career over here.
Even though he plays for another team, it must be kind of nice to have somebody who's a familiar face living in a sort of similar vicinity to you, let's say.
Yeah, and absolutely it is. And even on Liberec, I played with Christian Thomas as well. Even on Chesky Budovice, I played with Grant Harris. So like, you go around the league, and then now Greg McKegg on Lada Boleslav, I played with him as well. So there's a lot of guys that you have a familiarity with. Dominic Machine on Sparta. So there's like it's nice kind of in the handshake line, kind of smiling and saying hello and catching up. But yeah, I think it's a testament to the league as well. Like, tons of good players are in this league, and a testament to Czech hockey as well, where the average Czech, I can't believe how good the average Czech hockey player really is. And it's when you play against them day in and day out, like you do here, you really feel it. And, Czech hockey's in a really good place. And I'm proud to play in this league. And again, I'm going off topic, but I was like, so proud to see them win the national or the world championship there. And, it's to have so many players represent the league to win it too. It was a really cool moment for the league.
It really was, and I keep saying this to people, that there's a reason why the Czech Republic are the world champions.
Yeah.
You see it. I was lucky enough for a while to teach English to a guy called Edward Schale, who was drafted by Seattle, I think, a couple of years back now, with the 20th overall pick. And seeing him as a junior, seeing how good he was, seeing how locked in he was. You talk about your routine of staying longer, and you talk about like your love of the game. I could see that in him as well. Every single place he went, he had a hockey stick in his hand. There would be a tennis ball. There would be a puck. It was
phenomenal.
Yeah, you could tell that this kid he was such a normal kid as well, like a really normal guy. But whenever he got that stick in his hand, it was like he was going to try and be the best, even if he was just playing in the hallway with teammates. He was driven to get there. And that's the thing, seeing the way that the juniors are raised through the system here. is really something special, and especially goalies as well. I mean, you look at the goalie depth that the Czech Republic had. They took Mrazek, Vejmelka, Dostal, and all of those guys are, you know, legit NHL starters. And there was, I think, Sweden and of course Canada had that at their disposal as well, probably the United States. But how many of those international teams had 3 legit NHL starters? I'm not sure many beyond the Czech Republic really did.
Maybe Finland. I don't even know. Yeah.
I think Finland took, I think they took a guy from the SHL
Okay.
as well. So
Yeah.
he's really good, by the way. I think his name's Larmy.
Oh, I played with him too. Emil
Did
Larman.
you? Yeah, he's excellent
Yeah, he's
goal.
down. Yeah, he's good.
And I was wondering about him actually, like how he didn't get more kind of looks in the NHL, because whenever I've seen him play in Europe, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, he's a great guy and goalie too. Yeah.
Are there any other teammates that you would like to mention about your time in Wilkes-Barre?
Yeah, actually, one of the great guys, I mean, passed on last year, but Adam Johnson, I think, you know, talk about one of the, we spoke before, and if I was going to bring him up or whatnot, but I think it's important to, to keep his legacy and keep his, his spirit alive, because he was such a great teammate, and I can't begin to explain like how caring he was as a person on and off the ice. He, you know, when my dad passed away, when I was in Wilkes-Barre in 2019, I think it was, he was, I don't think I've told many people this, but he was one of the guys that, he would stay with me, and, he slept on my couch a few times, and we just hung out, and he was just there for me. It's, it meant the world to me to have a guy like him around. And, he, even though we didn't really talk about it much or do anything, he was just kind of there for me, and like a shoulder kind of. And, he was one of the best guys I played with. And, it was tragic what happened last year. And, it just shows you though, the group of guys we had in Wilkes-Barre, and, kind of what kind of the character of people they brought into that organization. And I can't say enough good things about him. And yeah, it was a heavy pill to swallow when it happened, but he's never far away from my thoughts.
Thank you so much for sharing such a heartfelt and touching anecdote about Adam. I think that stories like that really put everything into perspective. And to carry the grief of the loss of your friend whilst continuing to play in a foreign country speaks volumes about you and your mental strength, but also how you want to make your friend proud by continuing to do what you both love. I speak on behalf of the whole hockey community when I say that Adam is deeply missed and loved by all. His memory will always live on through people like Kevin, who cherish and honour his memory. And to see that Nottingham Panthers will have a ceremony to retire his jersey later this year is a really, really classy touch. It gives some solace that Adam can continue to inspire the next generation of hockey players far into the future, ensuring that the number 47 is a light for all of those who wish to achieve their dreams. It really is a truly fitting tribute to his legacy.
Yeah, that's great.
That following season, Adam would make the move to Europe, something that you would do a few years later. But before that happened, your positive play over the years at Wilkes-Barre was rewarded with another call-up to the NHL, this time for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So how did that materialize?
Yeah, that was the year before we had the NHL. It was the COVID year, and yeah, it was a heavy year for me personally. The loss of my father, and that whole kind of 2-year block of hockey was kind of like, it's looking back on it, it's kind of a blur to me. And going into that summer, it was the NHL bubble, and I got selected to play to be part of the bubble. And from there, I kind of got around the NHL team more and more. And, you know, another quote that stuck out to me for a long time was, if you hang around the barber shop long enough, eventually you'll get a haircut. And,
Yeah.
you know, and I just kept, for whatever, I just kept being around, the Penguins. And I was like, I, I just had a feeling that something was gonna, you know, I'd been called up like times through the last 2 or 3 years there, and, you know, spent a good amount of time, but always just as a seventh defenseman, never got like that nudge to be the sixth, whatever. And, you know, it so happened that in the COVID year, the year after, I guess, the COVID year, couple injuries happened. And I guess 7 years to the day, since I played in the NHL, you know, I got the opportunity again. And what made it more special and eerie, or whatever you want to call it, was it was the day of my dad's birthday that I played
Oh,
in,
wow.
against the Boston Bruins. So I think that was something really cool. And I think, you know, I know he was watching, and I know, it was a great moment. And, you know, to get back to the league was something special. And, you know, one of my goals and one of my driving things for a long time. And, you know, that it meant a lot to me and my family to be able to do that again for his legacy too. So
That's a really beautiful moment, isn't it? To step out on the ice on your father's birthday, who you've mentioned throughout this as a huge influence to your career. There must have been something really fulfilling about that.
yeah, it was, it's one of those things again where I don't think words are really going to do it justice right now.
Mm.
Just what he meant to my career and my life, and, you know, the family. And, you know,
Mhm.
he lives on, I know, through all of us. And, you know, he'd be here so proud watching in Czech. And I know he'd be coming over here all the time, and at pregame skates and everything, embarrassing me. But I know that was his signature. I know it's special. And, you know, yeah, he's greatly missed.
You talk about your family. I think maybe I did a bit of research. Was your brother part of the medical team at Wilkes-Barre at all?
No, my brother is he's an anesthesiologist though, in
Okay.
yeah, in Ontario, Canada. And then I have a younger brother, but no, he never worked for any sports clubs. But
Yeah, so yeah, maybe I've got it wrong. I've got it confused somewhere. So no, that's okay.
yep,
It wasn't your kind of final, let's say, club in North America, because you signed with Minnesota in this, I think, in that off season,
yep.
and you spent most, if not all, the seasons in the AHL. So how was that as an experience? A new organization and a new start again?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was you realize how big America is. So it's like it's it's in the middle of America, but it's massive. And, you know, you do a lot of traveling there. It was a part of the country where you know, you had 12-hour bus rides. That wasn't out of the equation. And,
Mhm.
you know, you got to taste. I loved it. The Midwest was a beautiful area. It's interesting. It was, for me, it was perfect. It was a great place to play. I had a coach I had in Wilkes-Barre. Tim Army was the head coach in Iowa. Bill Guerin was there. So there was a lot of Pittsburgh influence in Minnesota as well. And, you know, I was fortunate to spend a couple months with Minnesota, but again, didn't get in the game. And I think I might have the record for seventh defenseman of the year. But uh, yeah, what a great organization again. And, you know, you see, you pull for them every year, and kind of all the teams you play for and the guys you played with, you kind of pull for them. And when you're over here, you watch, and you kind of hope that they do well. And, you know, that's another squad that you know, Minnesota, I hope they turn the corner this year and kind of get things going again.
And next, you took the step of going overseas and signing for Ilves
Yeah.
in Liga. What prompted that move? Especially it's to go so kind of late on in your career. I suppose you must have been 30 years old or so.
Yeah. Yeah. 30, 31, maybe. Yeah.
And how did that move come about?
Um, it was yeah, kind of like right when my season in North America ended. You know, you kind of you plan for what you want to do kind of the next 10 years, whatever, and where you see you might fit in. And the opportunity arose that I wanted to play on a top team and win something, because if you've been looking at my resume there, I hadn't had a lot of playoff runs or championships, so it's
Mhm.
something that I really wanted to be a part of. And they were in Champions League. They new arena. It checked off all the boxes. It was a great hockey organization, a great hockey country. And I got there, and it was going okay. And then I finally kind of turned a corner at the end, I felt, and I got hurt and
Mhm.
tore my shoulder and ended my season in January, so last of that year. And then it was it was tough to kind of end on those terms there. But I still have some friends in Finland and a lot of good memories there. I mean, the saunas were phenomenal. I learned a lot about taking care of my body and how to live like a Finn. It was awesome. So I think they're good people, really good people.
Yeah, and what great life experience as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And what was the biggest adjustment you had to make when transitioning from the NHL to the European game?
I think the biggest thing for me is just like it's so hard to explain, but it's you, in North America, you're always making that. Everyone's always saying, "Play quick, play quick, play quick," and you make quick passes and you make quick movements. But in Europe, especially in Finland, it was the adjustment for me was sometimes when I played so quick, it was like the other players weren't on the same page and they weren't playing. They were kind of, it was more like possession based,
Mhm.
whereas like North America was more like in your face, like let's kind of like full court press them in basket, if you use a basketball term. And
Yeah.
here in Finland, it was more possession, like let's take it back and like slow it down a bit. So that for me took probably a good 2 or 3 months to really grasp that and like get the reps in. And I think it's a great league. I think again, like the talent there is phenomenal. There's a reason why there's so many players drafted to the NHL from that league, why there's NHL draft picks there. You can tell that it's a great hockey country as well, and they do a good job of development. And it's different. Everywhere is different. Like they develop different ways in different countries and different cultures. And I think that is so interesting to see when you go in Finland, and they're big on biking. They love like the cycling, like the road bike, and like it's different. And then you go to North America, and they're big on, say, one team's big on deadlifts, one team's big on the assault bike. It's just there's no right way to do any of these things, and I think that's what makes it so unique. And I think there's no cookie cutter way to develop a hockey player. And I think you see that with all the different type of players that come through the NHL, and you see new countries all the time now. And, we spoke about Liam Kirk earlier. There's another example of like an unorthodox hockey background, making it
Yeah.
to the NHL draft and having a hell of a career so far. So it's cool to see all these different cultures and different ways to kind of grow in the game.
Yeah, you speak about draft picks. You played with one who is quite interesting to me. I've seen him play since he was pretty young, and since I moved to the Czech Republic. A guy called Jakub Malek, a
Yeah.
goalie.
Yeah.
He's a young goalie who seems to be going from strength to strength every single year, and I really wouldn't be surprised to see him put up a strong fight next season to potentially back up Markstrom in New Jersey, or at least make the Utica roster in the AHL.
Absolutely. And when I got there, he was even younger. So he was 2 or 3 years where he was is now. I don't know, is he 21, 22? He's a pretty young kid. And you could tell like he would just get better and better like every week. And we had veteran goalies there at the time. I think Merrick Longhammer was our goalie.
Mhm.
So there wasn't, and we were in a win now mode. But he just developed and just got better and better. And even practicing on a good team like that just lifted him. And I think it would not surprise me to see him have success at the NHL level whatsoever. He put in the work there, and he's in good hands in that organization.
Czech players are very well represented in that organization for sure. They've got a really strong background at going through Ilves. It's the same as Lukáš Dostal. who just
Yeah.
won the world championship. He moved from Kometa to there, and they take on a lot of the younger Czech guys and bring them through, and they're doing a great job of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, they got a good pipeline going there.
And what things did you miss most from home, being in Finland for the first time?
Yeah, easy questions, like the low-hanging fruit is the family and I guess the language, but you know, that's the obvious. Yeah, it's just I think like I don't know. I just was so engulfed in the culture there and so like wrapped up in like trying to learn the language, trying to, you know, go to as many sauna houses as I could. You know, I was kind of occupied with that stuff. And I think you miss your family, friends, and yeah, you speak in the language and stuff like that. But I just you learn to like love the stuff you actually that's in front of you there. And I think that was so important for me to like, for instance, in Finland, like it gets dark at 2 p.m. every day and like in the winter and there's no sun. So you're like, okay, so what do these people do? And I've never seen anything like it. There were so many people out on the streets. It was like everyone was out and about. It was people were active. People were like, you know, doing stuff like social. It was always I couldn't believe the culture there of like just like togetherness and like like so much national like pride of like being Finnish, like getting out and enjoying the like the elements. It didn't matter if it was like snowing or raining. People were out enjoying the nature and like it was so incredible to see. And then, you know, the sauna houses, you go there with teammates and you learn the like traditions. You go into these old sauna houses that have been there for over 100 years, and it's, you know, they've been doing the same thing, jumping into the lake in February and January, and then you go into the sauna. It's amazing. I honestly fell in love with it, and I think that is something that I, you know, I still carry with me wherever I go now is not a sauna, but as get me to a sauna as near as I can, as soon as I can. I think it's so important, and I think it was, you know, it's cool to see their way of living. I think it was really, really special.
Totally immersing yourself into the experience. I think
Yeah,
that is the best way to kind of make the most of it. I think it's
100%. Yeah.
it's funny that you mentioned about them kind of just getting on with it and not caring about the elements, because again, the last interview I did before this was with Alex Lintoniemi, the Finnish defenseman,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he said to me a couple of times off camera, because he played in Kazakhstan and it was cold, and he was like, it wasn't too bad for me, you know, and like after that he finished his games, he would come out like in winter wearing a t-shirt, you know, and I'd say, "You not freezing?" He's like, "No, it's no problem, man. It's just what I'm used to." And
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
it's funny how that it's got to be in the mind, right? It's got to be the mental training, and
Yeah, it's just, you know, they have an attitude of like make the best with what you got. And I think, you know, they have a word, it's called sisu, and it's like the inner fight or like the inner warrior or something like that. And, you know, I think it has like kind of split meanings of like kind of, you know, approaching like your life and like your culture that same way too, of like kind of just moving on, like getting on with it and like carrying on. Like I think it's really powerful. Their whole culture is like incredible.
it's something very interesting.
I think they're the happiest people in the world. They get voted like every year. They get like it's either them, Denmark, or Norway, or one of those, or Sweden. It's like the Scandinavians. They do it right. They know how to
Yeah,
they know how to live. Yeah.
yeah, something in those saunas or something in that
Yeah.
water they're drinking, maybe. Uh,
Yeah.
it's funny we say about adjusting to the weather, because it's funny because my partner, she always says to me when it's raining here, she's like, "Are you not going to take an umbrella? Are you not going to take a jacket?" And I'm saying, "Hey, I grew up in England. This is not rain to me. You know, this isn't rain yet. You know, we're not going through those torrential downpours that we did recently, actually. I mean, that
Oh
flooding
yeah. Absolutely.
was
Yeah.
terrible, but
Yeah.
it's in general, when it rains here, I see all of the people kind of sheltering, and then I'm like the guy who's just head down,
Yeah.
walking, and it's weird. I just don't think anything of it. So there really must be something to that kind of cultural training.
Exactly. I think so.
Cool. And after Finland, of course, you landed in Litvinov. So who reached out to you, and how did that deal happen?
Yeah, it was another you know, just kind of fit at the right time, at the right place, come to the right team. And I think, again, I wanted to be on a team that is competitive and can win. And I think, and I wanted to play in a top league still. I didn't, I wanted to play and I know that Czech league was a top league, and um, I know so many of the players within the league, and I knew the talent, and I just wanted to be at that high level and compete again too. And, I was coming off an injury, so, I wasn't really fully healthy. And, Litvinov took a chance on me with me being, I guess, recovering from injury, and came back last year, and I wasn't 100% fully myself, but I put my best foot forward, and I tried to be as healthy as I could and be the best player I could. But I'm really excited this year to kind of have my health back fully, and I feel I haven't felt this good in a while. So I'm just excited to kind of get on with the ride and just kind of enjoy it. And again, we talked on it earlier, like whatever kind of role I can contribute with and do, I think I can provide that. And I think, that's it's something that I want to do, is win a championship. And I think, wherever this may lead, I'm just excited for, the journey. And, it was last year, I had so much fun playing those playoff series in Brno and Pilsen and whatnot. And it was it's something that I want to do again. And I think it's you get that itch, and something that I think we have a good squad to kind of push forward this year.
Yeah, you talk about Litvinov taking a chance on you. It's strange because when I saw the roster last year for Litvinov, I looked at it and I thought, if this all clicks together, it seems like it could be a real wild card team, in the sense that, like, a lot of the journalists had kind of, I don't know, slightly written the team off, in the sense that they looked at the two Cachet brothers and they said, well, they come with their injury issues. You mentioned Liam coming from an unconventional hockey background,
Yeah.
yourself coming off the back of an injury. But then you looked at it on paper, and then when I saw you guys in the playoffs, I saw a lot of your playoff series against Brno. I saw it and I just thought, this has really worked. Like, this has clicked together and everybody's got their role. You were so defensively smart as a team. It was like you were stifling Brno for most of the series, especially even in their own backyard. And it was really a joy to watch the kind of evolution of that Litvinov team.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. But I think our coaches, like Carl, does a phenomenal job of getting across like the details of the game. And I think he's as detailed as a lot of NHL coaches that I've been around. And when you watch video, it doesn't matter if it's Andre Cachet or whoever, he's gonna correct them in video. And I think that's powerful because we have a really like a proud team defensively. As we know, we're an offensive. We have the offensive tools, and Halava, all that, you can go on and on. But we also want to pride ourselves in defense. And I think that's something that, what really kind of separated us last year and helped us was, picking up the defensive habits. And, we mentioned Patrick Demel earlier, but, he was one of the guys that, he led the charge and kind of little details on the ice. And, when you have enough guys like that, like showing you the way, and kind of, for me, he helped a lot because one, he speaks perfect English and Czech, and he relayed the message, and he led by example out there, kind of replicating that. And he was a good guy for me to kind of be around and learn from. I know I'm older than him and whatnot, but he was someone that really helped me over here, and really helped me turn the corner and grasp the systems and hockey over here.
Yeah, a real leader. And I think when all is said and done on his career, which is still a long way away, he will be an excellent coach if that's where he decides to go. I get the impression from the interview I did with him, all the way through to the conversation I had after we finished our interview. We sat down, and I mean, the guy is seriously intelligent, not only in the realms of ice hockey, but he knows how to speak with people. And I think that that is as big of a skill that you need when you're leading and coaching.
Absolutely. And I think that a big, something I would love to have had was a coach like him when I was younger. And, you know, someone who understands you on one, the X and O's, but also, yeah, like you just said, the human level. And you know, he gets that so well, and he does such a good job with that. And you know, it was tough to see him go from here, but you know, he's in a good place. He's at home, and you know, I wish him all the success there too.
And this season, Litvinov have started out very, very strong again, out of the gate, really fast start. What's been the key to that, would you say?
Yeah, I don't know. It's again, like I think our philosophy is really, and here's another cliche, day to day. But I think we're so, you know, it doesn't matter as soon as we I guess win a game, we enjoy it that night. I guess you kind of, you know, have a good bus ride, get home, whatever. But then the next day, it's a clean day. It's brand new, and it's
Mhm.
there's no lingering effects. There's no whatever, how good we are or whatever. It's just let's get on, move. What's next? Okay, next. All right, next. Okay, what's the assignment today? What are we doing today? And I think that is the coaches do such a good job of keeping us grounded and in the present moment, not kind of lingering, you know, how great we are or we're chasing this or doing this, whatever. It's just no. Let's stay grounded and boom next. And I think that's so important on teams because it's a long season, and you know, you don't want to be a roller coaster ride up and down and up and down. You kind of want to be level, and I think that's something that we're, you know, we're striving for and we're going for this year. So trying to keep that consistency.
Yeah, back to business,
Yep.
keeping the focus. Yeah, excellent. So, how would you compare the atmosphere of the fans here in the Czech Republic to North America? Because that's another thing
Yeah.
that, like, I can see. It's the NCAA is pretty
Yeah.
mad as well,
Yeah.
but the Czech fans are like, when you stand in those stands, some of the things you hear and see, it's just like the
Yeah.
passion and the energy is, oh, it's on another level.
It's amazing, and you know, it's absolutely incredible the energy it brings to the match. Like it's something like whenever I have someone come visit me from Canada or North America, I always say you have to come see a hockey. You have to watch a game here. And you know, without fail, everyone who leaves is like every North American GM needs to go to Czech Republic and watch hockey and like understand like how to actually like the fan experience needs to be. And I agree. It's something like, you know, there's such passion behind the fans. It's like it's not it's again, you can't put words into it. It's something that you know, you experience and it lifts you. And even when it's like you're on the receiving end of it, it kind of fuels that energy and it brings that like villainish, I guess, villain mode into a game, and it's fun. It's really it's a special atmosphere that there is in this country.
I completely agree, and especially in the playoff series, you know, you said that you hadn't experienced too many deep playoff runs in your career, but when you guys came to Brno, the one thing I noticed was number one, how good the Ropatsi,
Yeah,
the
Ropatzi on tour, yeah.
Litvinov traveling fans were. It didn't matter if it was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday night, they packed out that end.
Yeah,
And the Brno fans were there giving as good as they got as well. And it was just like a proper
yeah.
series, you know, that's what you want from watching playoff hockey.
Well, you come from probably the best country for fans. The football fans within
Yeah.
England is absolutely spectacular. So, I mean, it's on a different scale here, a different sport, but I think it's the same like passion and love for the sport, and you feel it. And I think it's contagious too when you hear it. So
I think the one thing that I would say is different between the English football fans and the Czech ice hockey fans is like the Czech hockey fans are kind of probably more like the English football fans were 20 or 30, maybe even 40 years ago, in the sense that they can get away with drinking and be a bit more rowdy.
Yeah.
But and I mean, probably you experienced the beer shower, maybe, when the referees gave a decision against Brno and the beer comes flying onto the ice and all of this. This wouldn't be quite allowed in the UK now, but the chanting in the UK is very, very like inventive. You know, some of the things that the fans come up with, I just can't stop laughing when you hear these chants. You just think, who thought of that? It's
Yeah, I know. That's awesome.
Have you managed to travel around Europe at all since arriving here?
Yeah, quite a bit. You know, me and my wife have been to Vienna, Paris, Finland, Sweden, Tallinn, Estonia, Germany, Munich, Berlin, trying to think what else. Switzerland, a few places there. Throughout obviously Czech. You know, I've spent a lot of time in, you know, Karlovy Vary, Prague, Ostrava. I went for Christmas last year actually with Patrick Demel's family.
Oh, wow.
So it was awesome. I got to, oh man, I forget the name of the movies, but the guy with Otik in it, the guy with the headphones. I don't know. It's an old Czech movie I watched.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to learn the culture and
Yeah, it's I think I know I've watched this movie as well. Is it Pelishki, maybe?
maybe I don't know, but
Maybe.
it's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah. It's there are a couple of Czech movies that like I watch them every year with my partner as well, and I can't remember
Like
the name of it.
like Cinderella, Popelka.
Yeah, that's it, Popelka, exactly. And the old version as well. It's the one that I watch all the time. The old.
Same here. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. Something cool that I noticed at some point in time as well is it might have been on Litvinov's social media channel, is that you did a video speaking a bit of Czech.
Oh yeah, last year we did little I guess tutorial, I guess.
And how is your Czech now? Has it improved a bit since then even?
Yeah, I know a few words. Enough to like you know, order at a restaurant and um talk to strangers, I guess, in the grocery store. But you know, I think what helps me the most is the hockey terms and just hearing them over and over again. And I think that's a testament to our coaches too. It's like they emphasize the same terms, and you learn, you know, you learn the red line, Chervena Chata, and you learn the blue Modrý Chata, and you learn all like the hockey terms and colors, and it kind of goes hand in hand. And then, you know, I love languages, and you know, my wife's Croatian, so it's something that you know, I'm constantly learning that as well too. So I know enough to kind of help me get through it, but yeah, it's a tough language. I'm not going to be reading any Czech books anytime soon, I don't think, but you never know. You never know.
Hey, from that video, I think that you were doing a really, really good job because I'm the same. I love linguistics. It was actually my field of study at university, and the Czech grammar is so complicated. And like, you know, when you go out, I think maybe we're quite similar. It's like you know the words, but kind of putting them in that correct case is just it's difficult.
I know. I think for me, it's like I had to get over the fact of trying to translate directly from Czech to English, because I know sometimes like it doesn't make sense because
it just doesn't work, does it?
Yeah. So you gotta like kind of like bend your mind a little bit and like kind of think. And it's weird because you kind of think and you kind of, I don't know, you kind of think a little different when you're like thinking in Czech. It's different for me at least. I'm like I have different like thoughts almost, because I'm like it's just so, it's like so new. It's pretty cool. I think languages are phenomenal, and everyone should always like practice them in some sort wherever you, because you know, I think it's like we come to like I'm from Canada, and like I come here and in Litvinov, not everyone speaks English, and I completely understand that, because why would you need to speak English here?
Absolutely.
I should learn your language because I'm a visitor in your country. And that's
Yes.
kind of my philosophy of why I'm learning Czech. Is like just to to show respect to the people that I'm here, and I'm like learning your language, and I want to like be on your level and be able to communicate with you. And that's so yeah, it's something I'm passionate about and I love doing.
Yeah, and that was reflected from what you said about Finland as well, you know, throwing yourself into the culture there. You're doing something similar here. I think with languages as well, the other thing that's, you say like you're thinking like a different person. Like I totally agree with you, because it gave me like this completely newfound appreciation of my partner, right? Like when I started thinking like, she speaks to me every single day in English, like, and like, she's probably like limited some, like a little bit within her personality
Yeah.
that she probably can't express. I mean, her level is excellent. It's top level, but there's still going to be things there that are, and you know, like I think that teaches me a level of patience and
100%.
understanding that knowing a language doesn't equal intelligence of somebody.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I saw a really good quote is like I forget what book it was in, but like how they always say like a testament of how many lives you've lived is how many languages you speak.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
because that goes back to what we were just talking about, where like when you start thinking in a different language, you like your mind kind of works at a different frequency per se. And you kind of
yeah,
like, and then I think too, it's just you learn like, and I want to be able to enjoy the media here, whether it's the music or like the TV or whatever. Like I think that's fascinating too. Like, and the history, it's like it all wraps into one. And it's just for me, it's just like one big bundle. One thing leads to the next, and it's just because from Canada, we really don't have the storied history that you have in England, you have in Finland, you have in Czech. It's there's castles here that are, if they were in Canada, to be the oldest building in the place. So it's like it's amazing that just the amount of history. And there's a castle 10 minutes away from me that, from the 13th century, which is amazing, like, absolutely incredible to me.
yeah, and also it's how vast Canada is as well in comparison to the Czech Republic. You know, you spoke about road trips earlier, you know, going in the A and the coast.
Yeah.
I mean, road trips here for you, it must be like, you know, you put your headphones in to listen to a podcast, you can't even finish it, you know, for
Yeah.
some of them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point. But yeah, that's a really good point about this league is like it's pretty close and compact. And I think that's another good reason why all the fans can kind of get around pretty easy, and it brings those atmospheres. Everyone's closer together. So you can kind of make that hour and a half drive to Liberec to go watch a game. You don't
Yeah.
have to do a 10-hour drive or fly.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's it. That can really help with the atmosphere for sure.
Yeah.
It's accessible by public transport and
Yep.
everything. We'll have to talk off camera afterwards about swapping some ideas for some music in Czech and some
Oh,
films,
yeah.
because I
Yeah.
would like to know more, and maybe I've got one or two things as well, but we won't bore all the listeners with
Yeah.
that. Let's try something in Czech. One question, and this will be fun. Co je tvoje oblíbené české jídlo?
What is your favorite food in Czech?
Yeah, your favorite
Czech.
Czech food. That's it. Do you have anything that you've enjoyed?
Oh, mám rád nedliky.
Yeah, knedlíky.
Knedlíky,
Ano,
ano. Taky guláš, the
polevka.
polevka, ano. But what's the yeah, počkej.
Yeah,
Krko,
čekám.
yeah. Krkovice.
Krkovice.
Prosata, možná?
Prasata, and it's the pig's neck.
Yes, pig's neck. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Svíčková.
Svíčková. Okay, is that what it's called? Yeah.
No, that's something different. But
Svíčková.
svíčková is another Czech dish that's like super popular as well, like beef sirloin with some
Jezi.
vegetable sauce. Yeah, of course, the dumplings go with that. But I agree that the pig's neck was something I'd never had in the UK. So
Yeah, it's really interesting. And the soup here is phenomenal. Every meal I have as much as like the bone broth as I can. I love you know, I love just like eating like I didn't eat a lot of meat in Canada, and I came here and I just, I just I fell in love with the meat. And then of course the beer is phenomenal here. And I don't think I have one problem with it though. It's just like it ruins beer in like Canada for me because it's that I love and I know this might drive you crazy, but I love the head on it, the foam, the like
yeah, I like it as well.
yeah, and it tastes so, it's got such taste to it. Like, and I think it's something that yeah, they don't really have in Canada, and I think we got our work cut out for us there.
Yeah, do you know what? I agree with you completely because I went back to London and
Yeah,
I kind of it was in my like first year of living here, and I went back in the summer and I thought, it's normal for me to have a beer, every so often with a meal
yep,
here. And I ordered a beer there and I drank it and it was the same as like what you said. I had it and I was like,
I know.
why did I do this? It's like £6 and
Yeah,
it's just terrible, like and now it's genuinely true. I will probably not drink beer if I go back to the UK. I'll
yep,
stick to gin, what it's known for.
yep,
And you mentioned Belgium. It's the other place where you're safe.
yeah,
Czech
yeah,
and
yeah,
Belgian beer are very different in flavor, very different in their kind of uh, how full bodied they are. Like Belgian beer is very, very heavy,
yeah,
um, but it's still great in a different way. So that won't be ruined for you when you go
yeah,
to
yeah.
Belgium.
Yeah, no, that's funny. But yeah, that's one thing. And then Burchak, Borchak,
Yeah, that young
oh,
wine.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
it's kind of like a juice, isn't it? Like it doesn't taste how you would expect it to.
No, it's like kombucha kind of. It's kind of got like a little like carbonation,
Mhm.
little perliva.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Yeah. So
Yemene Parliva, that
yeah,
half kind of
yep, yeah,
sparkle.
perliva. The gentle bubbles. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's nice. I really like the taste of, yeah. It's obviously something that is only around in the fall, but yeah, it's something that really good. And then
Yeah,
there's
you
some
can go and stock up now.
yeah, yeah, you got to get it going now. Yeah.
And have you had somebody approach you here? Like this seems to happen to me all the time. Like there's someone that they're always like making some kind of side hustle of their own homemade like liquor.
Yeah, I know exactly. And there's I in North America you call it like moonshine. So it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But here it's like I saw it, I forget the name of it. I think it was called like babichka. It was like grandma's or something. But
Yeah,
it was like a Slivovitz, and it was just like a plum brandy, Perushkovice
yeah.
or something like that. Like, but it was, yeah, another like they were selling it on the road or whatever around here, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, we've got a guy at work who's selling like Marunkovica, this apricot one, and it's like really smooth and very, very nice. But it's just so funny how like at certain times of year, this guy suddenly turns into like, an off license.
Yeah,
He's like making the apricot brandy, then suddenly like, oh, I've got like some wine as well that I made. I own like a small like vineyard or whatever.
oh,
And
that's
it's just
awesome.
I
Yeah.
think the people here are really what's really different even from the UK is how self-sufficient some
Oh,
people
yeah.
here are.
Yeah. And I just to kind of double click on this point, I remember last year I came to the rink, and then Peter Koblasto was in there, and he's bringing in curtains of egg, like dozens of eggs. And I'm like, what's going on? And then he doesn't have the best English, but he's like, eggs, you want? And I'm like, his eggs. He has his own chickens, and he has his own farm and everything, and he
Wow.
sells eggs to the boys, and it's like the best eggs you've ever had. And like we talk about the beer, and I'm like, I'm a big egg snob too. I love a good egg, and phenomenal organic eggs that he makes or produces for us, and it's a good little side hustle he has. And yeah, what a great guy he is too.
Yeah, he's as good at producing eggs as he is at scoring goals.
Yeah, I set you up for that one.
Yeah, you did. But
Yeah.
he is phenomenal. I think I'd have to double check this, so it can't be taken for like gospel, but I think he might have been the only player last season to score against every team, I think.
Oh, really? Wow.
There was something like that. He either
Yeah.
did it or he got very close.
And I will say about him too, if you watch him closely, he works so hard on the ice, like
Yeah.
forechecking, like sprinting in and out of position. He's awesome. Yeah, he's a great player.
Yeah. And probably the final thing that I'll ask you before I mean, I've taken so much of your time. It's been so kind of you, is
Oh, it's been great. Yeah.
about Andre Cachet. So
Yeah.
I mean, he won the World Championships this summer. I think that he was even skating for a while with some NHL teams,
Okay.
if I remember correctly, over the summer. I mean, just how big of a factor is he around the place?
Yeah. Oh, he's got a presence. I tell you that he can change a game, and I think he he's got that game breaker that like maybe three guys in the entire league have. And the chemistry he has with his brother is absolutely phenomenal. I haven't witnessed anything at that level in pro hockey where two brothers like that are together and just absolutely on the same wavelength. And I for whatever reason this year I've been lined up against Andre all the time in practice. Like my line kind of goes against his, and you get such a respect of like how good he is as a player and how like he's like such a bulldog on the puck. And I think that's something that might get like overshadowed by all his offense, but how good he is defensively too when he like
Yeah.
because he made a career playing in the NHL as a defensive player as like you can't just be only offense there. And there's a reason why he stuck so long. And the off ice stuff, you can go on about how great of a guy he is too. And he's the driver of our team, and he's taken on such a big role, and he's taken it really well. He's our horse and he's our guy, and it's a big responsibility for him, and he's done it with like such grace too that I think we really appreciate what he brings to the on and off the ice for us.
Yeah, and you say about him being a great defensive forward, the playoffs last year were a really good example of that. Like I remember he was the one of the most productive players in the regular season.
Yep.
It actually took him a little while to get going statistically
Yeah.
on the board in the playoffs. But I remember I said to a couple of my friends, like, don't think that because he's not scoring points, he's not influencing that game. I just said he's so intelligent that he's actually the
Yeah.
way he's adapting to the game is different to the way it was in the regular season. Kirky was on a hot streak. He was scoring constantly. And I think I recognized and thought that I saw Cachet fulfilling a slightly different role, which kind of enabled and freed up people like Kirky to continue that run.
100%. And that's what I was gonna mention is other teams complete like I didn't see like I don't think like I don't know how to word this, but like he was played so hard in the playoffs last year, and like he was getting like whole team's I think philosophy was just to play around him and shut him down, and he took so much like abuse out there, and he played through it. Like to his credit,
Yeah, oh
he
yeah.
played through it, and he yeah, like his production might not have been at the clip it was going at during the regular season, but he brought so much to our team, and he, like you said, freed up so much ice for other guys, and gave Liam Kirk the looks that he had, and it was such like
Yeah.
a selfless like way he played in the playoffs. He could have been like moaning and crying about it all, but he played through it all, and he was such a leader for us, and I think it's just such a testament to his character to kind of play through that. And like his brother as well, they took so much like abuse in those series, and they played
Oh
so
yeah.
hard minutes, and like and they were getting like double teamed and slashed and whacked and whatever. Like it was ruthless, and they played through it. And I think you see that this year again. They're getting the same kind of treatment from teams, and they're playing through it too. And it's pretty special to be around guys that want to compete at that level, and it naturally brings everyone else up with them.
Yeah, and another big testament to his character was, I think one of the games went to penalty shots. And I said to the guy sat next to me, well, we all know what he's going to do, don't we? It's going to be cachet. He's going to go backhand and he's going to score. And like, it was just like a cheat code, I think the betting markets must lose so much money if that's a situation, because it's just, and you could see the goalie at the time as well. I think he knew what was going to happen, because I think I could see from the way he readjusted. He was like, right, I know that where this is going to end up going, and he couldn't stop that. Like, it's just, I don't think there's any netminders in the world who can stop that consistently.
It's kind of one of those things, like if you play an old video game and you just have a cheat code and you have that one move you can do over and over, whether it's in FIFA or NHL, he has it, and it's pretty special. Yeah. I can picture him doing that move every time, over and over.
Kevin, thank you so much for being so generous with your time.
And
before we end, I'd like to congratulate you on what must be one of the most incredible rises through the hockey ladder that I've ever had the pleasure of researching. I'm sure that the listeners will agree. And if I really challenge anybody out there, if you can find another story similar, please comment it below, because it's really something that should be celebrated, this kind of rise. What's more, whenever I speak to people associated with Litvínov in any capacity, they mention how much of a pleasure it is to work with you, which also speaks volumes about you as a human being. So I really mean it when I say that I wish you the best of luck, not only with this season, but the remainder of your career and beyond.
Thank you very much. And it was a pleasure getting to know you and doing this podcast for you. And, I look forward to crossing paths again here soon.
Yeah, no problem at all. So please like and subscribe to the channel for more player interviews coming soon. And also, if you'd like to support my content further, please consider buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/the Rinkside Review. You can find the link in the description box under the video. Kevin, thank you once again. All the best.
Thank you. I appreciate it.